Hey up guys, it's Ricky here with a cool lesson on how to master your bar chords but also be able to play them in any key whatsoever and understanding where these chords come from and where they live. We're going to use the major key L7 grid to find where these chords live. And for today's exercise, I'm going to do this in the key of G, and then I'll show you an example where I change the key and show you how the whole thing moves. So first things first is we need to establish our tonic, and we are looking for the tonic on the E string. The tonic is the note that gives the key its name. So if it's the key of G major, then it's going to be a tonic note of G. If it's an A major key, the tonic is going to be A. If it's B major, the tonic is going to be B. It does what it says on the tin. So today we're going to look at this one here. This is G. If you don't know where G is, we conveniently have something that I call the gift of the gab on the E string here. Follow your dots. You got G, A and B there. It spells the word gab. G-A-B. So we can use that to help us to navigate our way around the fretboard and find where these tonics live. I think it's cumbersome to count up from the E string or from any of the open strings to find notes. But in this instance, if that's the method that you're used to, we'll do that here just so that you understand where G is. Here's E, here's F, and then here's G. E, F, this would be F sharp or G flat, and that would be G there. So this is going to be where we're starting from, and we are going to use this reference point here to build our L7 grid. So this L7 grid, guys, this is the framework that you need to know for your keys. So let's say we're in the key of G like we've nominated here. This is going to be the root note for chord 1. As well as being the tonic, it's also the root note for a chord. So that's the root note for chord 1. We drop down onto the A string in the same position. We're not changing frets at all. This is the root note for chord 4. And then we move up a whole step, and that gives us the root note for chord 5. So here we've got 1, 4 and 5. Now, what's significant about that is that chords 1, 4 and 5 in the major are all major chords. That's the tonality of those chords. So those are your major chords, and they're also known as the primary triads. So we're going to go 1, 4, 5 here. So you can see, in my mind, that looks like a 7 shape, and this is why I call it the L7 grid, because it looks like an L7. Nothing to do with the grungy rock band. So there's the 7. Well, where does the L live then, Ricky? So here is where the L lives. If we jump up from chord 1, there, we go up a whole step, and what you can see is we get chord 2 here. We get chord 2, chord 3, and the chord that we're missing is chord 6. Chord 6 lives here. So 2, 3, 6. Now, these are the secondary triads, and if you remember the primary triads that we had, those guys were all majors. Now these are the minor chords. So you can see that in any key we get 3 major chords and 3 minor chords. Now what I haven't done so far is put the shapes on and shown you how that works, but I will do in a moment. Now here's the next thing you need to know. Any root note that falls on an E string is going to be an E shape, but there are 2 flavors of E. The first flavor of E is the full-blown E major chord that you get like this. If you know this cowboy chord here, then you know the sound of this E major chord. The root note of that is on this E string here. But there are 2 varieties of this. There are 2 tonalities. This is the major. And if I take my finger off, what happens is I get the minor, because what we've got here is we've got 5R3. I talk a lot about 5R3 because it's super important. You need to know it. 5R3. So we've got 5R3 there. The 3 is what makes it major. This is a major third in that whole bunch of notes. So that, if I lower it, major, if it's lowered 1 fret, becomes minor. So 5R3, major third, 5R minor third, and that gives us the minor chord. This is where the minor chord comes from, the E minor chord. You can see there, here's E major, E minor. Now what we have to do is we have to take that idea and we have to move it up to the position that we are playing in for our key, and our key is G major, remember. So if we start here on this note, well, we don't have this head note here. So what we have to do is we have to do barring. Now, contrary to what you think, you don't put your finger across and then put the shape on. That restricts the tendons in your hand and it feels awkward, and your body will tell you, no, I don't like this, and you will struggle. Here's how you play bar chords, guys, and it's counterintuitive because you feel that this finger is the most important finger because it's your dominant finger. You point at things, you know, you say, can I have that cake there? Can I have that glass of beer there? So doing this, it feels a little bit odd. What we're going to do is we're going to start this on the middle finger, and this is what I call the scout. So we're going to scout on the middle finger. Yes, the middle finger. Now this is what the E shape looks like as a bar chord, and you may have seen the method of putting the bar on and then putting the shape on. That's how you visualize it, but in reality what we need to do is we need to put the second finger on first. It's easier to get that on because the ligaments here will move out. This is a probing finger, and this finger can move out and stretch to where you want it. So what we're going to do is put that scout on, and these fingers here, we're going to put those two fingers on here as a group. This is what I call a two-finger group. So we've got the scout, we've got a two-finger group, and then the last thing we put on is the bar. Because what we're going to actually do is this little scout here, we're going to use it to move up and down to our other chords. So if we look here, so there's my root note, I visualize it, but what I want to do is actualize it. I want to play the chord, so I'll put the scout on, fingers 3 and 4 on to make the E shape. You can see that it's the E shape. You know you're playing a major there. And then what we do is we bar across. We bar last. The thumb at the back is there just to help me. So there's the thumb just opposite the index finger there, and then what I do is I squeeze that chord and I strum it. So that gives me the chord. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move up to chord 2. I'm going to keep these as just E shaped chords. Now I'm going to move up to chord 2 here. Now if you remember what I said about chords 2, 3 and 6, those guys are minor. So all I do is I use the 5R3, take this 3 off, and it turns the chord into a minor. Now if I was going to play this chord 2 here, this A minor from scratch, I would put fingers 3 and 4 on first and put the bar on last. Put the bar on last, guys, that's the way it works. Yeah, if you put the bar on first, you create discomfort in your hand and it's harder to learn. Scout with these two fingers, then put the bar on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the grooves that I've created in my fingertips. I'm going to skim up, I'm going to release the pressure and skim up to the next position to get chord 3. So I get chord 3 here like this. So there's chord 3. So putting those together, I get chord 1, which is G. I get chord 2 by moving up here, and this is A minor. Move up a whole step again to get to the chord of B minor. So you can hear I've already got half of my equation here. So let me put this on. Scout, shape, bar. I'm going to move up on the scout, raise my index finger and then put it back down again when I get to chord 2. Moving up, skimming with fingers 3 and 4 and then squeezing that chord down there again, guys. So, and those are the chords that have this root note on the E string. And you can see that the gift of the gab actually helped us to name the chords as well. G major, A minor, B minor. So now we've tackled the E string chords, what we need to do is we need to look down here on the A string. Now if you've looked at any of my other videos, I talk about learning the A string and that's really important. But what we also have here that we can remember is C, D, E. Now if you want to play that as you say it, then you'll remember it a lot better. C, D, E. So we've got those notes, but the thing to notice with this is we're just sticking to the dots here, guys. So this is the root note for chord 4, this is the root note for chord 5, and this is the root note for chord 6. Now what we get is chord 4 is going to be major, chord 5 is major, chord 6 is minor. So we have to adjust the shapes accordingly. Because this is the A string, what we have to do is we have to use the A shape. And that shape looks like this. Now you may play it like this, you may play it like this, you may even play it like this. This uses the same trick to find the minor. Remember, so this is 5, this is root, and this is 3. Remember, this is a major third because this is an A major chord. So we take that major third and we flatten it down 1 fret to make it into a minor. Let's add the other notes back on. You can see that the A minor actually in its hand shape feels like an E. Look, there's an E, and just drop it down a string set and you can see we get to this A minor here. But we're going to use both of these shapes. So we're going to use the A major shape and we're going to use the A minor shape. Let's move that up then. So the first chord we have is C here. And this is going to be a C major shape. So what I'm doing is I'm going to use my third finger to hold all 3 of those notes across there. So I'm going to play C major. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that up to get chord 5. I'm going to play D major as well. So there's D major. Right, let's move it up to chord 6 here. Now this one, if you remember, this one was minor. So we just changed that shape thing around. And when we move up here, what we want to do is we want to scout with that middle finger, play the shape and put the bar on. We really want to do that as well with these shapes. When I put the third finger on, I put the bar on afterwards for these shapes here. Now you might find it easy to play it like this, put these 3 fingers on and put the bar on after. And that'll work, that'll do the job as well. Move up with that A shape there, put the bar on after. And then moving up, what we do is we scout with that middle finger, put the A minor shape on and grab the rest of the chord by putting the bar on there. I'm not playing the E string in and amongst this as well, guys. So I'm pulling down on that chord. So to recap, guys, what we have is we've got 6 chords now. We've got G major, we've got A minor, we've got B minor, we've got C major, we've got D major, and we've got E minor. So those are the 6 chords, but remembering that can be a bit tricky. And this is where the L7 grid comes in, because what we do is we practice playing the majors and the minors separately so that we can spot them easier. So what we're going to do is we're going to play the major chords from this L7 grid. We've got chord 1 here, got chord 4 here, and got chord 5 here. All major chords. So here's how we're going to play those. I play chord 1 by putting the scout on, shape on, bar. So I put scout, shape, bar. Play the chord. Then what I do is I roll the third finger over to create the A major shape, and then I put the bar on after. Get that C major chord. Then what I do is I move up here, I'm skimming up here with the 5R3 of this A shape here, and then I put my bar on here and I get my D major chord. So I get chord 1, chord 4, chord 5. That's a 3 chord trick, guys. You've heard that 1,000 times before, and that's a real cliche thing. You need to be able to do that. So next what we need to do is we need to look at the secondary triads, or the minor shapes. So these are the majors. Now this is the minors. So let's turn these all into minor shapes. So we've got an A minor shape here. We put the scout on, we put the shape on, we put the bar on. We're going to go to this B minor now, which is chord 3, and I'm going to move the shape over first. Do you see how I did that? Look, what I do is I move that little E minor shape over, and then I put the bar on. I'm going to use the grooves that I've created in my fingertips here, slide them down a whole step to get the E minor shape in its new position, then bar on there. So you can see I get A minor, B minor, E minor. Now that is a 3 chord trick, but in the minor. So putting it all together, we get the L, then we get the 7. And those are the 6 main chords in the key. Now there is chord 7, and that's a diminished chord. If you're doing rock and pop, you're not going to get many diminished chords in there. You will in blues and jazz, but not in this sort of thing. So we will follow up with another lesson to add that chord 7 as well later on. Now I mentioned that this is a transposable idea. Well, let's have a look. Let's take it, and we'll take it from the key of G, put it in a key that you may think is awkward, and as soon as I say it, you're going to go, well, I can't play that. Well, I'm telling you that you can. All you need to know is where your tonic is. Let's do the key of B flat major. How do we find that, Ricky? We use the gift of the gab, G, A, B, and when we go flat, we go towards the head of the guitar, so we go one down. So that would be B flat. So that would be our tonic for the key. So all we need to do is, once we've found that tonic, we build chords 1, 4, 5. Using that same pattern. There's chord 1, there's chord 4, there's chord 5. As we've already established, those are major chords. And here, if I go up a whole step, we get chord 6, chord 3, chord 2, and those are our secondary triads. So the primary triads, which are major, and the secondary triads, which are minor, and that gives you that L7 grid. It's a very visual thing, super useful for you to learn. Let's play the chords. Here's the minors. So the cool thing is you can take a chord progression and you can apply it to the grid. So let's establish where the root notes for those chords are in the first place. So we go 1, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 at the 10th fret on the A string. 2 is going to be here because there's 1, 2. There's going to be 5 and there's going to be 1. So because this is 6, we know it's minor. This is 2, we know that's minor. We know 5 is down a string, so we're just going to roll that third finger over again. And then what we do is we go to chord 1, we scout, put fingers 3 and 4 on, and then we bar. So let's put that together and we get 6, 2, 5, 1. You may know that from Ave Maria or Weezer, Island in the Sun. Let's take this back down into the original key that we started in, which was the key of G. So we've got 6, 2, 5, 1. So you can see, guys, this L7 thing is pretty nifty. And remember, each of these notes on the E string is essentially a tonic for a key. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of them. 12 keys. And this is how you learn guitar. You've got to understand that if you can learn it in one position, it applies to all positions and all keys. If you learn one key, how to do it, then you will be able to conquer the whole of the fretboard. Now, if you like this lesson on the grid, you might be interested in how to use that in a more advanced manner. And you can do that by checking out this video here. Hey up guys, if you'd like to support my work on YouTube, then please consider purchasing a copy of my book. The book is a compilation of PDFs from all the aha and light bulb moment lessons that you can find here on my YouTube channel, but all in one convenient place. It's available in 3 formats: a spiral bound copy, a paperback, but if you prefer an ebook for instant download, then you can grab that by clicking the link in this video or going to rickysguitar.com/store to grab your copy.